Uh-oh. Jake Paul goes after famed promoter Bob Arum after comments made about his fighter, Amanda Serrano, ahead of her upcoming fight with Katie Taylor. We're going to talk about that in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest of boxing. Now, you don't want to miss anything, so hit the subscribe. 2022 is lit. Promise you that. And let's jump right into the content. Bob Arum is supposed to be promoting a fight with Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. The only conflict here is the date that they're choosing if the contracts get signed and, you know, gets finalized as reported, is the same date of Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano for undisputed women's boxing, right? Which has already been announced and confirmed. And in this interview, Bob Arum says, quote, "People don't particularly pay attention to women's boxing. It's like comparing Premier League to women's football." And Bob Arum, you know, took this time to dish and dunk on women's boxing in essence, and saying, like, basically he's not worried about it. Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez is perfectly fine because, you know, nobody's tripping off of women's boxing. So, you know, it's kind of a nasty thing to say, and a lot of people think it's potentially sexist and chauvinistic, things like that. I think you'll find they do, Bob. Probably more so here in Europe. You know, I'm just gonna read a couple comments. You should blank Michaela Mayer for her thoughts since she's a woman boxer with top rank. Oh dear, Bob, says the man who showcased Mia St. John for years and promotes. See, so people are starting to go in and saying, like, hey, what? It says, well, Jake Paul ran to the studio and did another diss track on Bob Arum, says Arum's lawyer. Now, I was thinking the same thing. Like, the thing is, Terrence Crawford is currently suing Bob Arum, alleging that there's a disparity on how black fighters are treated over at Top Rank. Boom. You never know. We got action. Terrence Crawford claims Bob Arum's revolting racial bias hurt his career. So with things like this pending litigation, it's kind of weird that Bob Arum is basically another group that is protected, which is women, and he's taking a standpoint and just saying something harsh. But one person this got back to is promoter of Amanda Serrano, and that's Jake Paul. And this is what he had to say. He says, quote, "Men like this dinosaur are the reason women haven't been given a fair shake in many parts of society. I feel sorry for Michaela Mayer. She deserves better." And he says ESPN doesn't care about the biggest women's boxing event in history. Hashtag Taylor Serrano will make history with or without you. You know what? I gotta give it up, man. I'm enjoying, like, Jake Paul. He's grown on me. Pause. Like, he seems like he at least has a heart, and he's like doing all these videos and, you know, trying to entertain, but also stand up for fighters' rights and make sure the UFC fighters get paid. He's definitely been responsible for Amanda Serrano getting a lot of spotlight on his events, on his co-features and stuff. And, you know, it's counterproductive while Jake Paul is showcasing a woman who can scrap. Amanda Serrano, she got hands, you know, and I've always liked Amanda Serrano before she was with Jake Paul, right? And he's given her a platform and helping her get exposure. And he's a young, you know what I'm saying? He's a young kid. And then you have Bob Arum, who's a 90-year-old, and he has certain female fighters that he has to promote, like Michaela Mayer, and he's saying pretty much the opposite. So it's, you know, interesting times. Hey, he wilding with this picture, but interesting times that we're in. You know, I don't know what this is going to become, but it doesn't seem becoming, especially when Terrence Crawford, who is a pound for pound type of fighter, great skill guy, is suing you for saying you're biased in the way you handled his career. And then now you're saying something perceived as negative to women. You know what I mean? And the thing is, boxing is a beautiful sport if you allow it to be a beautiful sport. and there's room for everybody. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, that's a good fight. I've been pushing for that fight. In fact, you know, there was times where I think it could have got made, and credit to Jake Paul, since now all of a sudden it gets made and there somebody comes up with the money or whatever the case is when he's involved in Amanda Serrano's career. But before that, I've just been pushing to see Amanda get the shot. At one point, Eddie Hearn was making it sound like he was gonna make the fight, and then I think it was the pandemic struck. That's a nasty picture. And then the pandemic struck, and then the fight just fell by the wayside. And then come back, they said Amanda Serrano owed Eddie Hearn money, and he wasn't really trying to pay her after the pandemic. Now all of a sudden it's happening. So you got to give Jake Paul credit. Me, I'm a reasonable person. You know, I have criticisms when they're owed, but I also give credit when credit is due. And if you don't like Jake Paul, you should really listen to some of the things that he's see, people, I think they have a tough time separating the gimmicks, and they're like, oh, fight somebody. I want you to see you fight a boxer and stuff like that. And kind of a beta male energy where they're not looking into some of the other things that he is doing. One, bringing spot, and I'm not Jake Paul's manager, promoter. I'm just keeping it real. But, you know, he's bringing different flavor, making his own belts, making sure Amanda Serrano gets paid and cashed out, working with Showtime, and he's on pay-per-view there. He's also fighting for UFC fighters to get better pay, whether he's doing it for clout or to try to get the UFC fighters on his side or whatever the case is. I mean, he's still doing it. So you got to give him credit, right? You got to give him credit. He's saying that, you know, what I've always said, the UFC, look, underpaid fighters club. The UFC, they be having cauliflower ear and their eyes be about to fall out and stuff like that. And guys who aren't even really the most relevant in boxing are making way more than that. Like you have Francis Ngannou, and then you have someone like Ivan Redcash, who probably make the same amount of money in some of his fights, like when he fought Danny Garcia, things like that. It's just absolutely astonishing and absurd, but it is what it is. And let me know what you guys think. Jake Paul getting at Bob Arum now. And let me know what you guys think of Bob Arum's comments. To me, I think it's foul because it's a great fight. And if you're a proponent of boxing, even if it's not your event, then, you know, it seems like you would be happy that just a good fight is happening, whether it's women's boxing or men's boxing. And that is a good fight. And it's a fight that has been needing to happen for quite a while. So instead of uplift it, even if you have your own event, you know, you could just, like, it's like your mother used to say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And people are going to learn with this cancel culture and everybody being under a microscope. The most dangerous thing is a camera and a microphone. So people keep, you know, I don't think I'm not a lawyer. I ain't passed the bar, but I know a little bit. But I don't think it's advantageous for Terrence Crawford to be suing you for racial bias, and then you're dishing on female boxing too. It makes you look like a hermit, you know? So it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think of this transaction from Bob Arum and the response from Jake Paul. Jake Paul, he's going after all the promoters, apparently. Dana White, Bob Arum, Top Rank, etc. As always, hey, comment and subscribe to next videos. Edo sign. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster we working.